TED Talks in India is back with season 2, and I've got the men who make it happen, Chris and Shah Rukh Khan. Hello, hi.
Thank you, Ridwan.
I'll begin by asking you. I remember speaking to you in 2017 when the first season was coming out, and you said that how in India television is such a huge market and the reach is enormous. You know, in smaller cities the internet could vary, but television is huge. Is that the reason that you would want to come back on this platform?
That's a start-off position, yes, and I think even more so now because Star has been very kind and they've made it. We're doing it in Hindi and English, which is shot simultaneously, and then I think 3 more languages: Tamil, Telugu, and Bengali this year.
Yeah.
So I think somewhere Star has also committed itself to the same idea that Chris has.
Yeah.
That if there are people with a good idea, it should be spread out far and wide to everyone. And India has so many diverse languages, so I think it was important. And perhaps at this point in time, beyond subtitling, I think television in India specifically can do that more than anybody else. And I think everyone who's created this show, Juliet and the whole team here, I think the idea is, can we reach it out to a lot of people? And this time it's not for TRP or for box office. The idea is just get this idea out to a lot more people. Maybe some more people will turn around with the idea and make the change faster that these people and speakers are doing on the show.
Interesting. Chris, you spent some young early years in India. What are your memories when you go back? And has India always been in a center of attention in your mind?
Oh yes, indeed. It's not a country you can ever get out of your head. I spent 7 years in Woodstock School up in the Himalayan foothills in Mussoorie, and I mean, just the beauty, for one thing, is inspiring. Growing up with kids from many countries was also very special. And yes, I've always, when I was in England, it was the Indian cricket team I was cheering for, and all the rest. So it definitely, India was in my blood, and it's been so exciting to come back now and work on this project.
Right. I believe there's also a segment on the show where you'll have people who've implemented those ideas to speak about their experience. Do you feel it's important to, encourage other people to see someone who's done it?
I think the whole bent of the show this year, more than last year, I think the main change is that, Chris and Juliet and the whole team feels ideas which can be put in motion, which are actually making a change and an impact. It's more impact driven.
Yeah.
Just having an idea is also a great thing. It can be very inspiring. It can change your life.
Yeah.
But those ideas, have they been actually put in the real world and made an impact? I think that's a little more bent this year. So yes, lots of the talks are about people who are on field, who've changed things, and they're facts and figures that you can present to the people and say, listen, this idea is not just interesting, it can make a difference actually and empirically.
All right. When you guys are working, when you're traveling, how much time do you get to consume content on web? Which was the last show that you binge watched?
I liked Vice. Is that a full-fledged show?
Yes.
Then I liked Killing Eve.
Right.
Killing Eve, I think it's fantastically written, beautifully written.
Right. Yeah.
There's a BBC HBO show called Years and Years that's set 5 years into the future, and it's alternatively chilling and kind of amazing. It's a little bit of hope here and there, but it's a very, very powerful exploration of what happens if some of the trends that we're seeing today continue.
Right.
Got my attention.
Okay, interesting. There've also been a lot of talk about looking after the environment. It's difficult because eventually people end up using products which are cheap, and if plastic is cheap, that's what people resort to. Back home in Mumbai, for instance, there was a lot of conversation about RA trees, being planted at one place or going ahead with the metro shed. How do you see this balance between need to urbanize and the need to look after the environment?
I think every aspect of development, whether it's urbanization or technology, will come with its sidetrack of some negatives. It has to be an accepted fact. So whenever we are trying for something which is new or urbanizing or innovating or new technology, I think at that same time, and I find the younger people doing that very often, more often than the older people, I think you have to realize there's a backlash to it and we need to take care of that. There has to be a balance, God created the world as a balance. We're there looking after it. And obviously, if plastic has to go, then it has to go. I think we've used it enough. and we misused it enough, and now it's time to really look at alternates. And I'm sure we are innovative enough to bring about something as convenient as cheap, which is not so environmentally unfriendly.
There's a strong argument that urbanization will actually help the environment long term, because as people move to cities, in most cases, people like the carbon footprint falls. People are living maybe on top of each other. They share heat and cooling. That you've got better education, a path out of poverty. There's many huge benefits that happen as a result of that. And with plastics, the pricing is all wrong. Like the cost of virgin plastic is lower than the cost of recycled plastic, and so there's no incentive in the market for people to recycle plastic. That's the part that has to be fixed, and there's some powerful ideas out there on how to do that, and I really hope that can happen, because it's a distressing problem, and it's going to cause a lot of toxicity in the ocean, for example, as well as in rivers and streams and in daily lives for a long time to come if you don't figure it out.
Right. Charuk, you've always been a tech enthusiast. One of the first ones to use a smartphone more than any other movie star in India. Your vanity van, you are tech savvy. Which is the latest, if you want to tell our viewers, the latest tech innovation that's really caught your attention?
At a personal level, I'm trying to learn. There's a new camera called the Blackmagic,
right?
And I think that's 4.6K, and does raw resolution, and you can shoot it, and it has a monitor which has just come out, which also records in RAW, and then you can mess about with it later in your color grading and stuff. So that's very interesting. I think I'm completely. I'd gone to Melbourne for a film festival, and the Blackmagic people were very kind to give me one, and I've surrounded myself with trying to figure out how it works.
A lot of people will Google that after they watch this. All right. Thank you so much for speaking to us, and look forward to watch the show.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.